go get my iPad. I forgot.
Thank you.
Hopefully everyone had a good lunch.
Sure did.
As soon as they bring the jurors in, we'll get started. Okay. They're ready. Here they come. Be careful. Don't hurt yourself.
Be seated, please. Please be seated.
I hope all of you had a really nice lunch. The weather's awfully nice. There's out in the sunshine. Yeah. Walk around a little bit. We're ready to resume jury selection.
Thank you, Judge. Juror 32. Good. How are you? All right. Full of hope. Good. All right. So, okay, you work in landscape as well, correct? All right. And y'all don't work for the same company or anything, do you? All right. And what do you do with the landscape company?
We cut grass, fish, whatever.
Like all kinds of yard maintenance, stuff like that? Okay. All right. And so how long have you worked in that field?
Last 30 years. Before that, I did air conditioning work.
Okay. So you're fairly young, so does that pretty much encompass all of what you've done as an adult?
Pretty much.
Okay. All right. And I think at some point during this, you've either right now or before have had supervisory duties?
Yeah, I did when I was 17. I was assistant manager of a restaurant. Pit Barbecue is closed down now.
Okay. The Southern Soul put it out of business?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I can imagine. All right. And how many people did you supervise back then?
Probably 5 to 6, just depending on the shift.
Okay. All right. I believe you stated that you know some people who work in law enforcement.
Yes,
Okay.
cousins.
And do those cousins live in this area?
One does, one used to. He moved back up towards, I think it's Gwinnett.
Somewhere in the north side of Atlanta? I think that's North Georgia, right? That's what y'all would call it? I think it really is North Georgia. It's pretty far up there. So your cousin that's here now, is it with Lynn County Police?
GBI.
GBI.
He used to be Gwinnett County. He's moved his way up.
Okay. And you've also known some people that were in the military.
Yes.
Okay.
I have 2 cousins and an uncle. One was in Air Force. A cousin was in Air Force. A cousin was in National Guard, and so was my uncle.
All right. Okay. How about the medical field?
Yeah, my cousin was in Air Force. He went as a pediatrician.
Okay. And you also know some people, either yourself or some other people, that have a psychology or psychiatry
I
background.
have a cousin that lives in Tennessee.
Okay. Well, is he a psychologist or a counselor?
I
Or?
think he's a psychologist.
Okay. Okay. I believe you go to a church or some religious organization here in the area?
New Life Sanctuary.
Okay. Is that in Brunswick?
Yes, it's offset.
All right. Kind of turning to technology and stuff like that. You obviously you're younger. You text message, right? Okay. Do you use any of those other apps like we're talking about Juror 31, like Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, all that type of stuff? And are you on Facebook and Instagram and that type of stuff?
Facebook and Instagram.
Okay. And what do you use those type of things for? Just like family, friends, or like he said, Facebook and?
Yeah, just family, friends, but just a waste of time sometimes.
Okay. You use Craigslist or familiar with Craigslist?
Yes, sir. I've used it for purchase stuff off there.
All right. Now, I read off a bunch of other things like Reddit and Scout and Kick. You ever heard of any of that stuff? Okay. You were one good segue to this. You were talking about using Facebook sometimes to kill time. What do you do in your free time if you have time? Like, what are your hobbies and things like that?
I like to go hunting and fishing.
I believe you answered the question I asked if anybody had ever written an opinion online or submitted an opinion online, something like that.
Not a comment on Facebook. That's about it.
Okay. Now, do you follow the news much?
Yeah,
Okay, and kind of how I've asked the questions to the other jurors. Is that something where internet, TV, radio? What do you use most?
a little bit of everything. I mean, mostly TV.
And would you say you listen to more or watch more TV nationally or locally?
Locally.
You also answered a question about whether you watch legal TV shows. I think you said you watch some fictional and some nonfiction.
Yeah, I watch CSI, Blue Bloods, stuff like that.
Okay. And how about the nonfiction ones, the more reality-based ones? Do you watch any of those? Okay. I think you'd stated you either listen to podcasts or watch documentary or docudramas on criminal or legal issues.
Not too many. I mean, not really. Just
None are there any that stick out in your mind that you remember?
not really.
Okay. All right. All right. I believe you stated that you have volunteered with kids before.
Yeah, my church.
Okay. And what type of volunteer work do you do with the church?
Just with the youth group, or if they have like a fall festival or stuff like that, I would help around there, wherever they need me.
Okay. Let's see. I believe you stated that you've known somebody who's been arrested before or something like that.
Yeah, it's my brother.
Okay.
With a probation violation.
Okay. Was that here in Glenn County?
Yes.
I don't want to pry too much, but just generally, what was he accused of doing, if you remember?
I think he got a DUI.
Okay.
It's an accident.
And do you know enough about it to have an opinion as to whether he was treated fairly or not?
Not really.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. I think you also said that you've had to report something to the police before or give a statement to the police about
Yeah,
something.
my house was broken into. Or they tried to break into it.
Is this something where you home when this happened?
No, sir, I was gone.
And do you know if they ever caught the suspect? Now, I believe, did you say that you transported a child to daycare before?
No, sir.
Okay, I think I wrote that down by accident because obviously you don't have kids or anything. It's like, that's odd. Huh. Okay, makes sense. But I think, did you say that you've actually heard on the radio some warnings and things like that about making sure you don't leave kids or pets or things like that in the car?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and how long have you been hearing those things?
Last 5 to 10 years, probably.
Okay. And just one other question. The defense asked you if you'd ever experienced some kind of unexpected trauma or something in your life.
Yes, I've had a good friend that passed away, so
I'm sorry. And was this something that happened while you were there and like witnessed it, or?
so I wasn't there.
Okay, just something that affected you.
Yeah.
All right, just 1 second. Just making sure, like I added that transport and daycare, I want to make sure I didn't miss something too. So that's all I have. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Hey, good afternoon. All right, you are single and have no children, right? Yeah. All right, did you grow up in this area?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You told us about one brother. Is it just the two of you?
And I have a sister, a younger sister.
Okay. All right, so Facebook and Instagram are the two primary social media that you use.
I don't really do that, sir. I've done it before. I don't really, that much.
Okay. And with Facebook, how often do you check it?
Usually, I get on every now and then. Every day, a couple minutes maybe.
Okay.
Just depends on what's going on that day, how busy I am.
You're more of a once a day kind of a guy? Maybe at night or at lunch or something?
At night, when I'm through work and off work, just sitting in the house.
Okay. You got any friends that are checking it constantly?
I'm sure I do. I don't know.
Like, like every time you sit down at a table, they got their phone right there and they're checking it.
I got friends like that.
Okay. That's not you?
No.
All right. And you indicated that you make a comment from time to time.
Comment on if it's a picture from family or something like that, Facebook on that comment.
Hope y'all are doing great. Love the picture. Have fun. Okay. What about liking?
I don't really like
Don't do that?
No.
Okay. And what, if anything, do you post?
If I post anything, it'd be pictures of stuff, my family or friends, stuff like that.
Okay. What about articles that you've read on other sources?
Yeah, I've posted stuff like that before.
Okay.
Just if it's an insurance company.
All right. What kind of stuff? Or what kind of topics?
Probably sports or stuff like that.
Okay.
I don't post that much stuff.
Do you follow a team in particular?
I'm a Falcons fan.
You may have a long fall in front of you, sir. Okay. All right, and you told us you volunteer at your church, and you mentioned the Fall Festival. Obviously, it's about that time of year, so that's going to be coming up. But you didn't mention which church it was.
New Life Sanctuary.
New Life Sanctuary. And where is that?
It's off 17, probably going towards Dairy.
Okay. All right. You mentioned your brother was arrested, and you said, I think first you said violation of probation.
Yeah, he went for violation of probation because he got a DUI, but he got out after DUI and he violated his probation, so they picked him up on that.
Okay. So the original case was a DUI.
Yes.
And part of that, he was put on probation, and then he got picked up again for violating. Do you know how they say he violated?
I'm not sure. I just know all I know is he got a violation of probation. I'm not sure.
Okay. You don't live with him.
That's
You're not particularly close, or don't keep up with everything that he's doing.
we're kind of close, but we don't keep up with him. Not the last couple of years, we've grown apart. He does his thing.
Okay. The news recounts of stories of children left or forgotten in cars. You said you've heard that over the last 5 or 10 years. From what sources did you hear these stories or read these accounts?
On the news.
Okay, TV news?
Yes, sir.
You ever see anything posted on Facebook?
Not that I can recall, man.
Okay. You ever followed up on any of these stories? And same thing for public service announcements, reminding people to look in their car or not forget a child in the car. Those you've also heard on the TV?
Yes, sir.
What about-
TV and the radio also.
Okay. Are there any in particular that stand out or that you can remember? Okay. You indicated you had a family member or friend who'd had an affair. Is that something you can tell us about?
It was a good friend of the family.
How long ago was this?
5, 6 years ago.
Okay. And your friend of the family, it's a man?
Yeah.
And he was married to someone? All right, and he had an affair? All right. You still have any contact with him?
Not recently.
Okay. And is this something that he told you about?
It's something I heard when it came out. I heard through the family.
Okay. But he didn't tell you about it while it was going on or whatever? Okay. You indicated that you had a friend that passed away. Was that recently?
It's been probably 18 years ago.
Okay. But you weren't there at the time?
No.
All right. You answered yes to the question whether or not someone in your family perhaps had experienced the unexpected death of a child. Did you answer yes to that question? Or maybe you had a close friend who had experienced the unexpected death?
My dad lost his brother when he was born.
Okay. And obviously that was at a time when you were not yet born. Okay. All right. I think that's everything I need to get from you right now. Back to you.
Good afternoon. Okay. So, Juror 33, you are retired from the City of Brunswick?
Yes.
Okay, and what did you do with the City of Brunswick?
I worked there for 27 years.
Mm-hmm.
I started off as a clerk cashier.
Okay.
Then I got promoted as a secretary, administrative secretary,
Mm-hmm.
and promoted to a personnel clerk, then a operation manager, and then a customer service manager. In the water department, and business license, and in finances. Those are departments that I just go home.
All right. And how long ago did you retire from that job?
I retired in 2009.
Okay. So you spent most of your adult life working in that type of field?
Yes, and I had some part-time positions also.
Okay. And was it also the same type of work?
Well, one of them was with the cross store as a waitress. And,
Okay.
Then, and the other one was with the cross store as a manager, also as a turn-down supervisor.
Okay. And do you you're a night auditor now, correct? All right. So you talking about supervision and supervising. Do you currently supervise people, or are you kind of like your own boss right now?
No, I don't supervise right now.
Okay. Back when you supervised these other jobs, how many people? What was the most number of people you supervised at one time?
7.
Okay. All right. I know you had the ability to at least hire. Did you have the ability to hire and fire?
Yes.
I believe you stated you've known somebody who's been in law enforcement before.
Yes. Well, I kind of know quite a few people in law enforcement because I was working for the city.
Right.
And I used to do the orientation and some of that.
Yeah, like everybody that get hired on, they come in and learn about every part of the county, and okay. All right. Anybody that you're like really good friends with, or family members that are in law enforcement around here or somewhere else? Or is it mostly just from that?
The ones that I knew that was in law enforcement is out now because because they already retired and because
Okay. And I believe you've known somebody or some people who've been in the military before?
yes.
Okay, tell me about that.
I had an aunt that was in the military. He was in the Army, and I got a brother. He was in the Marines.
Okay. All right. Now, from what I gather, talking to you, asking some questions about technology and social media and phones and stuff, you don't do texting, right?
I do texting, but it'd be very limited.
Okay.
I don't do that much texting.
So maybe you got a family member or something that's younger, and they text you a big long screen, and you just say yes.
My daughter do it all the time.
Yeah. I saw you kind of roll your eyes. So that's not for you, right?
Every time I put something else in, she be gonna call me because I take so slowly.
I understand. All right. Do you go on the internet a lot, or use computers a lot, or anything like that?
Yeah, I do on the internet quite a bit.
Yeah, I imagine with your job you use computers and things of that nature. So, and when you're on the internet, do you use Facebook and that type of stuff?
Yes, I do use Facebook.
Okay, and what do you use Facebook for?
Really just to, some people say being nosy.
Trying to figure out what your family's doing, friends are doing? Because you got, three grandkids?
Yes.
Okay.
But, yeah, I usually get on there to look at what's going on, you know, and put likes on some of the situations and stuff that might come up that I'm interested in.
Okay. Just kind of go gather information.
Yeah.
But you don't use Instagram. Have you ever heard of Kick or Scout or any of that stuff?
None of that stuff.
Okay. I think you have had well, first of all, when you have, I know one of the jurors was talking about it's good for killing time, sometimes use Facebook. When you have some downtime, what do you like to do as a hobby or something like that?
Got quite a few hobbies.
Okay, tell me about it.
I make jewelry.
Okay.
And I do photography. And I like ping pong and I like tennis.
Oh, you like ping pong?
I like ping pong.
You're good at ping pong, it sounds like.
Very good.
I'm scared right now. I'm not challenging you. So, all right. We have a ping pong table too. I can beat my 9-year-old, but I won't play with anybody else. I like to stay the champion.
You'll be able to beat me.
All right. I gathered that. I know you well, are you a sports fan? No?
Well, tennis, that's it.
Okay.
Tennis only.
All right. I was just asking because the prior juror is a Falcons fan.
Oh, okay.
And so Mr. Evans and I are huge Falcons fans. And you don't find many of those in Atlanta. Almost everybody's a transplant because, I'm born in Atlanta and around that area. And we came down here on Sunday, could not find the Falcons game anywhere. It's the Jaguars. So if I get to any of y'all and y'all can tell me how I can find the Falcons game without having to leave the house, let me know, please, because it was pretty irritating. You've had the opportunity to take care of somebody before that's been either disabled or special needs or sick or something like that. Tell me about that.
Well, my father, my stepfather, I had to take care of him because he had heart failure. And I just used to, he used to stay over on the island. I used to have to go over here every so often and bring him over here to the doctor and sit with him.
Yes, ma'am.
Then I also sit with, this other person. He got Alzheimer's. I just visit him every so often just to see how he's doing and maybe take him out to lunch or something.
Okay. And I believe you stated that you you transported a child to daycare before.
My grandkids.
Okay. And are they local? They live around here?
Yes.
Okay. And how old are they? I know you got 3 of them, right?
One is 10, one is 8, and one is 6.
Okay. All right. I think that may be all I have. Yeah, that's all I have. Thank you, ma'am.
Miss, it's H, right? So you have the 3 grandkids, and how often do you get to see them?
Probably about 3 or 4 times a week.
Okay. Right, and at 6, 8, and 10, none of them are in car seats or boosters anymore, are they?
The 6-year-old is in a booster.
Okay. All right. When they were younger, a few years ago, when you had to have a car seat to drive them around, did you have a car seat just for your car?
Yes.
or car seats for your car?
I used to keep it in the trunk, and then when they come, I put it out.
Buckle it in.
So, each one of them had a car seat.
Okay.
So,
Did you have any habit or pattern or procedure you went through to make sure they weren't forgotten in the back, such as leaving a shoe or leaving anything in the back of the car?
no.
Did not? Have you ever heard of anybody doing that?
What, leaving them in the car?
Leaving something in the back seat as a reminder not to leave a child, not to forget a child. Have you ever heard of anybody doing that?
No, I hadn't heard anybody doing
Okay. You, I think you have a ping pong table.
that. I need one.
Oh, you don't have one. You need one.
I usually go places to play it, but I don't want to play it.
Well, none of us play, but we watch the heck out of some ping pong on the internet. The funniest volleys or the best volleys. Have you ever done that? Look that up. Where they're diving all over the place, sliding under the table. It's hilarious. All right, you did not answer a whole bunch of questions for us. Guess I just did not ask the right questions. I think one of the few that you answered was that you knew someone who'd had an affair. Is that something you can tell us about?
Oh, I guess it was somebody. It was a friend of mine. Her husband had an affair.
Okay. All right, and she's still your friend?
Yes.
All right. And are they still married?
They still got legally separated.
Okay. And did you know him independent from her? The husband, that is?
As far as
No, or did you know him? Did you ever meet him, or she
oh,
was?
yeah, I knew him.
Okay. I think that's all I've got for you. Thank you.
All right, juror 34. You play ping pong? Okay. You're going to lie to me right now after that, right? I'm not going to play her. Okay, so you are a sales associate at the convention center?
I work at the convention center and I also work at Belk's.
Okay, so you sales associate at Belk's, is it plural?
Yeah.
Okay, I should know. That's where all my clothes came from growing up. So, and the convention center, is that on?
I do housekeeping there.
Okay, and is it the one over on Jekyll?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. And how long have you worked over at the convention center?
Year and a half.
Okay, and how long have you worked as a sales associate, either at Belk's or other
For about a
places?
month.
Okay, and what work have you done over your career before these jobs?
Mainly in collections.
Okay. Did you work for like a collections company or? Okay. And what was your job? Was it like placing the calls for collections? All right. That can be a thankless job sometimes, can't it?
Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty difficult to call and ask people for money. But you get all kinds of excuses too. All right. And your husband also works in landscaping.
Yes.
Like we got a lot of landscapers here in this county, so good business with all the, I guess, the golf courses and things like that. So does he work in any type of particular landscaping or just general?
Just general.
You have a 19 and a 14-year-old, so I was going to ask you, what do you like to do in your free time? Do you have any free time?
I have some free time when my son goes to his dad's.
Okay.
Go to the beach.
Okay. All right. So, let's see. You didn't answer much of the military, law enforcement, all that stuff. So, kind of get down to the whole technology part of it. You text message, correct? Okay. And as far as messaging on your phone, other than that, you use, I believe, you use cell applications. You use Facebook Messenger. Mm-hmm. Are there any other apps like that you use? All right. And as far as social media goes, what type of social media do you use?
Just Facebook.
Okay. And follow up, like I've asked everybody else, what do you use it for?
Just for family and friends and my kids.
Okay. Okay. Are you a big follower of the news, or you keep up with it, or?
My mother-in-law takes care of that.
Okay, so she tells you what's going on in the world. Okay. I'm going to guess that she has some opinions.
Not really.
Oh, really? She's just telling about what's going on?
She tells us.
Okay. Okay. You didn't answer that you watch any legal TV shows or anything like that? Or?
I watch the ID channel.
Okay. All right.
I like Joe Kenda with Homicide.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it.
Okay. And you said that, I believe you raised your hand when talking about docudramas or documentaries involving criminal cases.
I watch the Casey
Mhm.
Anthony and the
Manson?
Charles Manson story.
I believe you've actually had to report something to the police before, or do a police report or make a statement. Did I write that down by accident?
You must have.
Good, not like a car accident or anything like that. Okay. All right. Now, you've got a 19-year-old and a 14-year-old, so obviously if you've had to transport children before,
Yes.
transport them to daycare, things of that nature. Okay. All right. Did you answer the question about an affair, knowing somebody that's had an affair before?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm not going to ask you names or anything like that. Is it somebody that you were really close to that did that? Okay. Now, is this something where it was like a one-time thing, like they had an affair with somebody else? Or is this, okay. So it wasn't like somebody who was cheating on their significant other with a bunch of people and carrying on internet conversations, with nothing like that? Okay. Okay. All right. Just one second. That's all I have. Thank you, ma'am. I didn't do it.
All right. I know that at home I get the ID channel, but I'm not real sure what that is or what is on it. What kind of shows are on that channel?
Just murder mystery.
Somebody went to check. Lord knows what they're going to find.
All right. And you said you watch a show called
Lieutenant Joe Kenda.
Joe Kenda.
He does some of the homicide murders.
Okay.
He solves the cases.
Joe Kenda.
Mm-hmm.
And what is it you like about watching those type of
I
shows?
just like how he solves the crimes and all. Nothing particular.
All right, and then you indicated that you had watched or followed some coverage on the Casey Anthony case.
Yes.
Were you watching the trial each and every day?
Oh, no, not every day. Just bits and pieces.
Just kind of following what, maybe at the end of the day, maybe the summaries or whatever?
Yes.
Right. Were you watching the commentary shows where other lawyers would comment about the trial? Okay. Were you watching the morning shows like Good Morning America, or weren't watching that? Okay. And was there anything in particular about that case that drew your interest and made you sort of keep up with it?
It just made me wonder, what happened to the little girl. That's it.
Did you ever do any follow-up? Did you ever get on the internet and look anything up and follow up on any of the information that you heard through the case? Told Mr. Boring that you had known people, or at least someone who'd had an affair.
Yes.
Who was that? Is that somebody you can tell us who they are? Don't tell me their name, just generally. Is that a friend or a family member?
I'd rather not say.
Okay. All right. Can you tell me if that's somebody, though, that you still have contact with, or you still have a relationship with? Are you originally from this area,
From Camden.
Camden County? I believe that you raised your hand when asked if you or anyone in your family had to hire an attorney.
Yes.
Can you tell me what that was for?
A divorce attorney.
All right, was that for you or your current spouse or?
For me and my ex-husband.
Okay. All right. You mentioned that sometimes you have some free time when your child is at her father's.
And his father's, yes.
At his father's.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You have 2 children.
I have 2 children.
All right. They have the same dad.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so both children go to dad's house at the same time.
My daughter, she doesn't go to her dad's, but my son does every other weekend.
All right. How old is the son?
14,
Okay. And how old is your daughter?
19.
So you're the primary caregiver for the son who lives with you?
Yes.
Daughter doesn't live with you anymore? Okay. And where does Dad live?
He lives in Camden.
In Camden County? Okay. All right. And you've subsequently remarried then?
Yes.
All right. And you don't have any children with your current husband? Does he have any other younger children that live in the house with you? No? Okay. That's all I've got.
All right. Juror 35, good afternoon. All right, you raised your hand several more times than the last couple, so we may be a minute longer. It's your fault, not mine. Okay. You're a minister and you do engine repair, is that correct?
We're electronic repair for pro like sound systems like in here.
Okay.
And then just 2 weeks ago, we picked up small engine repair, which is
Okay.
lawnmowers, chainsaws, and motorcycles.
All right. So you work on audio-visual stuff?
Not visual,
Just audio? Okay.
I'm an authorized service center for about 30 or 40 companies out there that do sound like microphones and all that.
Okay, great. I guess you're pretty handy too. Do you work on the motorcycles you drive?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Now, I believe you stated that you know an attorney?
I have Ray Skelton that works in, he's retired in Cobb County, and John
Yeah.
Skelton that's helping in Blackstone, I believe it's with.
John Skelton. It's the same John we're talking about. He's in Cobb County too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And how do you know them?
Ray is my mama's first cousin. I guess that's my second cousin. And then John's son, so that's
Yeah.
second and third. How that works, I don't know. I'll keep up with it.
All right. Okay. Do you talk to them very often?
I talked to John. We lost our home last year, and I talked to John via email on the legal matters.
I got you.
We ended up getting it back, so it just kind of fell apart. So.
I got you.
I didn't, but no, I don't. I talk to his sister a lot.
Okay.
In Virginia, but that's about it.
All right. And I believe you stated you know some people who work in the court system. Was it John, or are you talking about people here in Brunswick or in Glenn County?
I think I was just talking about them.
Okay. Now, you stated, have you ever worked in any business other than doing the audio work and like engine repair and then ministering? Have you ever done something else?
I've been doing this for 18 years. Prior to that, and what got me down here, I came from it. I'm not from Atlanta, but I went to school at DeVry in Decatur.
Yeah.
And moved down here and went to work for a Motorola service center doing pagers for
Okay.
about 6 years.
I noticed outside they had a notice saying don't bring pagers in the courthouse.
I don't think they have pagers anywhere anymore.
Yeah. Well,
I ain't working this anymore. So.
maybe they need to update the sign. Okay, so you've had that experience as well. During one of your jobs, I know you stated that you've had some supervisory duties and things like that. Tell me about that. Like, which jobs and how many people have you supervised?
Well, in my business, I've supervised several people over the years. The only person I supervise now is my wife. And I can't really say that works out that way.
I would not term it that way. Just a piece of advice.
Yeah.
Having learned through experience.
But I also work for my church, and I'm the media director.
Okay.
Not social media. I do video streaming like this guy back here does, and I've had up to 18 people that I've supervised at one time.
All right. And how big is your church?
80 to 100. We just started it. We formed it almost 9 years ago.
Okay. And on some of these occasions during the jobs where you've hired or supervised, you've had the ability to hire and fire?
We don't do that. It's church.
Well, not necessarily in that. I mean, in the other.
Others, yes, but
Yes. No. I'm sure you don't fire anybody from the church.
no, we beg all the time for people to serve.
Yes.
No, and I've hired them at my shop, but the people I end up hiring are the kind of people that's fixing to go off to college and they travel to Atlanta and then you can't use them anymore. So I've never had to fire them; they just left.
I got you. And you know some people in law enforcement?
Yeah, I know Neil Jump, who's the sheriff here.
Okay. How do you know Sheriff John?
We went to church together, and I've since left that church, and I'm not sure if he goes to that church or not. And then Joe Owens used to be a deputy sheriff here, who's now with the county school system.
Okay.
He's a police officer.
And you've also known some people that have been in the military?
Yeah. I hate to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I was in the military, but I was a bookworm. I didn't really like that stuff. And in '83, they allowed you to get back out. And so I took that option and got back out. But my brother served 20 years and retired in that. He's now working for another military branch, Lockheed Martin, but it's a military portion of the training.
So is he up in Cobb or is he in
No,
D.C.?
he's actually in Milton, Florida.
Oh, okay.
And he travels out to Arizona and teaches about every 2 weeks. So.
Okay. And what branch was he in?
In the Army.
Okay. And what were you in for your abbreviated time? Okay.
Military police.
And how long?
Well, they could fill the group, so they had to keep waiting to bring people in. So I was actually in there about 6 or 8 weeks, but never made boot camp.
Okay.
Never started it.
Just kind of in a holding pattern.
It was a nightmare because you hurry up and wait tight. Sort of like what we've experienced this week. So.
For the record, you're saying this is a nightmare.
No, we passed nightmare Tuesday.
Okay. You've known somebody that's had some legal training or legal background. Was that the skeletons you were talking about? Okay. And you know some people that have a medical background?
My sister's an RN over in Columbus, Georgia. She's the head nurse on one of the floors, and my cousin is out in Denver. And she used to be a baby nurse, baby, but now they've moved her in administration, so I'm not really sure what she does.
And you've also known some people that have had psychology background, training, education, or
No.
psychiatry or counseling?
Yes, counseling, but
Yeah.
it's not. I'd have to really. That's something I need to talk to y'all about privately.
Okay. And I've already got. I know we talked about some neuroscience stuff. We're going to talk about in private. So
That's
I'll
all the same thing.
okay. I'll mark that down then. Thank you. And you also know people who work with computers and technology.
Yeah, well, I'm an IT guy.
Okay.
Computers. So I can work my way through the variety of selling fixing computers.
All right. Do you like to do computer programming and stuff like that? Or?
I'm actually learning C++ now as we talk about it, but I ain't very good at it yet. So
All
I
right.
got some designs to do video cameras that run across the ceiling, and it requires programming. I have to learn it myself, so I hire somebody.
Right. I believe you stated you're part of the, as far as we talked about fraternal organizations, community service, you kind of gave us a little bit of an explanation. You're in a more motorcycle group.
Motorcycle Association, which we ride with the outlaws, the Hells Angels, people like that. And we witness not just going up and speaking about Jesus, but what our lifestyle's like and help them out.
Right.
So that's basically what we do.
Okay, great. Kind of on that, going back to the technology angle, social media, phones, things like that. You use text messaging?
Yeah, I text or I call anybody.
Right. And do you use any of these cell phone applications like Facebook Messenger?
Messenger's all I use.
Now, as far as social media like Instagram and all those things, are you active on Facebook and things like that?
I look at Facebook twice a day, once in the morning, once at night, because a lot of people contact my company through that. I got a lot of musicians that's through this thing.
Okay.
I also do I got a site on a page on there that I do little mini service things I've gone through.
Okay.
Successfully made through. I post up there to help other people get through it, so that there's hope on those sides.
Great. And you've used Craigslist before?
I think I looked up something one time before. It was not like eBay, and I said, I don't want to mess with it. So I just said, yeah, I need to look at pictures, and there's no really pictures on Craigslist. So set it back down.
Okay. Okay. Well, I asked a question. I think you raised your hand for an explanation on it. I asked a question. Have you ever talked with somebody or messaged somebody that you've never met in person before while you're on a chat room or the internet or something?
Well, I get on forums because when you're doing motorcycle mechanicing, sometimes you just kind of get stuck. And so I leave a question, and there's a bunch of people that can answer it. But we're in a certain forum on there. I also, with my business, since we're the authorized service center with so many people, and we're the only one in the Southeast, I get a lot of people from all over. I mean, it depends on what company. I was with a brand corporation. And I was the only one. I was the only service center on the East Coast.
Oh, wow.
So everybody would send me emails. I had no clue who they were, so I communicate with people all the time through emails and stuff.
Now, like those forums, obviously, it's not just some random thing. You have to have some interest and go into that forum to want to discuss this specific topic.
Yes, I don't do any chat rooms or anything like that.
Right.
I don't have time for that.
Right. Okay. I believe you say that you've taken part in some kind of blog, but I think you explained it. It's Facebook, like.
It's that sermon thing I was talking about.
Yes, sir. Now, you also watched some type of legal TV shows or something?
Well, I used to. I don't watch them anymore, but I used to be big on NCIS until Tony left, and I said, forget it, I don't want to see it anymore.
Just ruined it for you?
He messed me up.
Okay. You volunteered with children before? Is this part of with the church or something different?
No, we had, in March this year, a lady that was kind of homeless, and she had a two-year-old and 5-year-old. And we offered a room. I have a little building off the side, and she came down, and we didn't actually keep the children, but we interacted with them. And I was the only driver. My wife doesn't drive, and that lady didn't drive either. So I had a crash course in kids at 51 years old, and that was a nightmare in itself. So
That's pretty noble of you.
I didn't answer anything about the car seats yesterday, the other day, because I forgot about it, but I did have to carry the little girl around the car seat.
And what type of car did you drive?
I drive a 95 Crown Vic.
You get mistaken for the police sometimes?
It looks like it.
People start slowing down when you go by?
I've never seen a cop car that's that color, so I guess I wouldn't have any problem.
Okay.
When I'm a volunteer fireman, people kind of pulled over, but it's that lightness.
All right. You said you've known somebody who's been arrested for something before.
I was arrested.
Sorry about that. Is that something you want to talk?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it.
Okay.
A guy across the street from me, where I lived in Harper, Georgia, had squirrels in his attic. And he asked me, because my yard had full of pecan trees,
Right.
he said, "Can you shoot off the squirrels?" And I said, "Sure." So as I sat out in my front yard, detailing my car, a squirrel would come up, I'd go up and pop it at 22.
Right.
Next thing I know, I got the cops in my yard. And they said, somebody's called in and said, you're shooting firearms. I was like, yeah, I'm killing squirrels out of the tree. And I told them who it was. And they said, well, that's the guy that called you. The guy who set me up called me in. So Hart was a little town. I mean,
Yeah,
tiny town.
right.
And I knew all the police officers, and my grandparents were real big in that town. My great-grandfather was actually the DA in that town for many, many years. And I didn't even get to go into the jail. I actually asked him, can I go in there and sit in the jail for just a second, just to see what it felt like, because I'd never been in there. And then we went to court.
Juror 25 is getting a real kick out of this, by the way. Yeah.
When I went to court, they took, one of our friends was there as a lawyer, and he told me to file, I can't remember, it's NOLO, yeah, that's it.
Okay.
And I did that. That's the last I heard of it. And they gave me my 22 back. That was the end of it. It's kind of been a funny story to me. But
What did they charge you with?
shooting a firearm in the city limits.
So it must have been like a county ordinance or a misdemeanor or something like that. Some kind
The
of.
crazy thing about Hartwell is where I was at was kind of county. We all shot. Everybody shot guns down in that area. You just walk through the woods and go deer hunting. The lake was right down below that. Go fishing.
Right. Wow.
Sorry.
No, that's entertaining. Yeah, I mean, you know, you have a lot. There's a lot of serious stuff we're talking about in this, so it's good to have moments of levity sometimes to kind of keep everybody on the even keel. I know you've made a report to police before, or had to call the police about something.
Well, I didn't have to call the police. My mentor, and I'm a counselor, and my mentor that taught me all the counseling through the group that I go through was out telling me some things, and he left, and I realized his back light was out, so I tried to pull over to catch him, and he was coming this way, and I was going that way, and he was looking into the woods for something. And I thought he was joking and just would pull up and smash right in the side of my car. So we had to call the cops. That just happened a couple of years ago, and I'm still not got my car right yet, but it's there.
All right. Okay, you told us about your family in Cobb County. Anybody other than the skeletons that are up there?
Swanee, where's that at?
That's Gwinnett County. It's like North Gwinnett County.
I've got cousins up there. I just don't know where all they live.
Okay. All right. And you've known somebody who's done online dating before, I believe?
Yes, my wife's aunt did dating with a guy from Germany, and they actually got together and got married.
Okay.
Pretty cool.
Obviously, it wasn't something like the person when they met. They weren't married when they met online and then got divorced. And then, okay. All right. Okay. I think that's all the questions I have right now. We'll talk to you about that other issue in private. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Hey, what is the name of your church?
It's North Island Church.
North Island Church?
Yes, sir. It's a church in Boca Locos on the islands in Stockton, Denver.
On the second story?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I have that whole if you get off the elevator, the whole complex pops out.
You okay?
Me? He hurts.
You about got whacked? All right. Y'all play nice.
Okay, enough.
Okay. You had mentioned that you and your wife were ministers, and do I take it that are y'all ordained through the church?
No, sir. We're not even a church. What we are is electronic repair and small engine repair. And what we do is it's called Sow and Seed, is the name of our company. And what we do is we bring in money and we give to the poor. We're never going to be a 501c3, a nonprofit,
Right.
because I can actually do more by paying taxes than I can with the other way. So we're just a business that's a ministry, and we help people who are in need. Right now we're in pretty much in need, but that's what we do. So,
Okay. That's y'all's ministry. Your business is your ministry.
sir.
Your business is your ministry.
Yes, sir.
Right, and is that how you ended up helping this this homeless
Yes.
lady we're talking about?
Yes.
And she had some children,
Yes.
and y'all took the children in as well?
We had the lady and the 2 kids. It was really a screwed up situation because they had a boyfriend and another kid that would live out of state and then come down and visit and then change up the kids, and then that kid would go back, and it was really goofy. But at one given time, we'd have her and the two kids. I don't know, one, the other one was 2, and the other one was 6 by the time they left.
And so that would have been, is that the only real experience you've had sort of living with and dealing with children?
Yes.
Because y'all don't have children on your own. Okay.
One of them was the same guy, yes.
Does your wife, are you either one help in the nursery or children's department at church? Do not? I know your church is a small church, but do you have that? Do you have a children's ministry there?
It's actually the largest ministry in our church is the children's church.
Okay. Your first cousin's with Gray Skelton,
Yes, sir.
and you know
Not first cousin, he's second cousin.
he'd be your second.
That work?
He's one of your parents' first cousins. That's what you said.
Yeah, my mom's first cousin.
Your mom's first cousin. All right. Obviously, we know the Skeltons being from Cobb County. Whether you see them on any regular basis or not, have they contacted you, or have you told them that you're down here in jury service on this case?
I haven't talked. John, which is the son, I hadn't talked to him. I didn't even talk to him. It was just email.
Okay.
Over a year ago. Well, August of last year is the last time I did some. Or maybe, no, excuse me, it wasn't. It was March of last year. And I haven't chatted with Gray in, I was asking I never knew his dad. I wanted to find out about his dad. And that was probably a year ago, and he never really wrote me back. So.
You know the sheriff here through your former church.
Yes.
I take it then that y'all aren't close personal friends where you might feel some sort of conflict about serving on this jury.
No. I've just known Neil for 18, 19 years now, just because we were in the same church. We see each other, we know each other, or even actually give each other hugs, but that's about as far as it goes.
Your business is dependent to some extent on the internet and Facebook in particular. You telling us you check a couple of times a day. That's how customers can reach you.
Yes.
Do you ever post anything yourself, photographs or articles, or
Rare. I mean, it's really rare. I just don't have time for Facebook. It's just so you can get stuck on there for days. You're not,
years?
Yeah, really. I mean, it's worse than YouTube. But no, I'll find an article, but it's generally a Christian-based article. So I don't do anything that's secular at all toward anything.
Okay. Well, I mean, what I'm really interested in is this. Are you getting any news?
No, sir. No, I don't do news. I don't do politics. I'm ready to shut down Facebook altogether because of the presidential thing. I'm sick of the bash and everything everybody's doing. It's supposed to be Christians is doing it, and we're supposed to not to do it. So I don't do any news. Nothing. I never do news. My wife likes it, but I don't like it.
Daily newspapers. You do not take a daily newspaper.
No.
And do y'all have cable or watch any news on television?
The only thing I have is the internet. We shut down cable 20 years ago.
It's interesting. I mean, as many jurors as we talk to from time to time, it's interesting how many people have just given it up altogether, cold turkey.
Well, it's trash. I mean, there's so much junk on there. And you know, nowadays, if you want to watch a program, you can, instead of watching like NCIS, you don't have to watch it on Tuesday night when it came over.
Right.
You can watch it on Wednesday night on the internet.
Right.
Why pay for it?
Okay. And another ministry that you're involved in is your motorcycle group.
Yes.
And we have one at Roswell Street Baptist Church where we go. But I didn't hear the name. You said Christian Motorcycle Association?
Christian Motorcyclist Association.
Motorcyclist Association. And so do you do rides with that group?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
My bike is. I lost my bike about 2 weeks ago. Right before the big storm, we lost the bike. So I got another one that's got to rebuild it and get back on the road.
What do you mean you mean you laid it down or something?
No, a year ago, right after we lost the house, a guy came. I have a VN 750, and me and my wife were sitting on it, and it's very small. And the guy that was behind us riding came up to me and says, "We're buying a new motorcycle. We want to loan you this bike for 2 years." And so he loaned me a 2004 Victory King, which is a 1500cc bike. But he had a wreck not too long ago, and he needed the bike back to sell it because he's going to have surgery and needed money for the downtime. So we gave it up.
You just had a freebie for a year or two?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Now I'm back to 750, which I left up, not running. Yes, car raising clock.
You seem to be handy. I imagine you're going to be able to fix just about anything that kind of comes your way.
Yes, sir.
All right. But you can't fix a ticket. So you told us that you had contested a ticket at some time. Had you done that before? A traffic ticket?
No,
You didn't answer yes to that question?
I don't think I did.
Okay.
You don't remember it.
Well, it's amazing how many people forget their tickets.
Yeah. I can remember being pulled over since '83, but
Okay.
I don't remember
Well, it's-
confessing it. I mean,
All right. I could have written that down wrong. I think that's all I needed to follow up on. You consider yourself an IT guy?
yes, sir.
Thank you.
Last but not least. All right, juror 36. Let's start off with the same stuff we started with the rest of the jurors. You are a kindergarten teacher?
Yes.
Okay, and how long have you worked as a kindergarten teacher?
7 years off and on. I took some time off to be a stay-at-home mom.
Okay.
I worked with the county, and this is my first year at private school on the island.
Okay. So was that right out of college that you went to work for the county, then stay-at-home mom, then now private school?
Yes.
Okay. And you also you coach cheerleading?
Yeah, middle school.
Middle school, okay. Is that in the private school?
Yes.
And your husband is an electrical contractor? Did I say that right?
Yes, they have a family business that his grandfather opened up 55 years ago, and his dad was there, and my husband's in the process of taking over.
And is that here in Brunswick or on the island, or?
It's in Brunswick.
Okay. All right. Let's see. You know a defense attorney?
Yes, my cousin, he lives in Athens.
Okay.
He went to Georgia, but he went to University of Alabama Law School.
Okay. Roll Tide?
Yeah, I went out there too.
No, I'm not really. I was just kidding. I went to Georgia Southern. I'm a football mercenary. We were 1AA back then, so.
Yeah, so he worked as a public defender, and now he's a,
Like private defense attorney, I guess?
Yeah.
Okay, and what's his name?
Alex McQueen.
Okay. Okay. And are you close with him? Do you see each other often or talk often?
You know, family, Christmas, we don't talk often.
Okay. Is it one of those things where when you get together, does he relay like crazy stories of his work as a defense attorney or anything, or is it?
Yeah, I mean, we all have crazy stories.
Right. Okay.
Nothing stands out.
Okay. So I guess the next follow-up with that to me would be, there's no way that would affect your ability to be fair to either side in this case, I assume?
No.
Okay. And do you know anybody that works in the court system here in Greene County?
Yeah, I know a lot of lawyers. Crystal Barrier. Judge Gray, but he's retired. Yeah, I mean, I know a lot.
That's fine. Do any of them practice criminal law here?
Crystal does a lot of different.
Okay. Kind of one-stop shop, does a little of this, a little of that. Okay. I believe you stated you've known somebody who has worked in the military or been in the military before?
My grandfathers were too, and my husband's grandfather flew over to Birmingham and
Okay. And when you talked about knowing somebody that's had legal training or something like that before, was that what you've already talked about? Okay. Now, you've known somebody or you know somebody who works in the medical field?
Well, my dad does interim hospital administration work. He goes into like failing either substance abuse centers or psychiatric centers, and he goes in and hires and fires and gets them back. So
Right.
he's in Philadelphia right now.
Okay, so basically he's a problem solver. He comes in.
Yeah.
Okay. I believe you also stated that you know somebody who is either trained or has experience or works in the field of psychology, psychiatry, or counseling.
I was thinking that because he works with like substance abuse.
Okay.
Some of his hospitals are substance abuse, some of them are rehab. They're all different kind of hospitals.
And you have a license as well, a professional license teaching, correct?
Yes.
And you go to church locally?
Yes, I go to Wesley on my own.
I believe you raised your hand. I asked a question. Are you part of any community service, fraternal organizations, anything like that?
When I went to the University of Alabama, I was in a sorority.
Okay. What do you think the outlook is for the Ole Miss game? We have office pools, so I'm interested.
I'm pretty sure Alabama's going to win.
I didn't expect you to say anything different. Okay. So obviously you're younger, so you communicate through text messaging, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you use these other cell phone applications like at Facebook Messenger or WhatsApp or anything like that?
Sometimes Facebook Messenger, but I don't know.
It's not like something you rely on, just like if somebody sends you a message, you at least know how to respond to it.
Yeah, it's a lot of spam and stuff in there, so I don't try not.
Yeah, you're not a fan of it from us. I see what you're looking like, yeah. Okay. All right. So do you use Facebook like regular old Facebook or?
Yeah, I mean, I don't post a lot. I'll post random, if I have pictures of my kids, basically. And if I comment, it's on my friends' kids.
Right.
And I don't really comment on articles or anything.
You're predicting the follow-up questions from having listened to all that your other jurors. That's good. So I don't even have to ask them because you already know what we're going to ask. Craigslist.
I know. I mean, I've been on Craigslist and tried to find stuff for, like, kids.
Yeah,
stuff.
buying stuff.
Just like I'm a mom, so. But I've never bought anything off of it. I was kind of freaked out by it.
Okay. I think you said that you've given an opinion online before or something, or written an opinion online. You didn't raise your hand to that? Okay. All right. Yeah, I know, because you just said you don't. Yeah, you don't deal with it. Okay. Yeah, some people want to put every opinion on everything online, and then some people don't want to put anything, right? Okay. Now, I think you said that you watch some legal TV shows, some nonfiction legal TV shows.
I'm not into like the nonfiction ones. My mom used to watch Law and Order a lot of times.
Okay.
Maybe not that. If there's like a documentary about something like 48 hours, or if it's like a Lifetime documentary or something, I'll watch it.
Okay. And I think you stated, have you read a book or books about murder cases, fiction and nonfiction?
I mean, I don't know if I haven't read for fun in probably 5 years since I had a kid. But I've read, in the past.
Yeah, and I was going to follow up with that. Like, you got a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you probably don't have a lot of time for free time for yourself. But if you did, what do you like to do, like hobbies?
Well, we have a boat, so we like to go fishing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really fish, I just ride. And, go to the beach, go to the pool. We ride bikes a lot. I like watching all the football, family sports.
Okay.
And just being with my kids is my thing.
You stated, I think, that you followed an actual trial before, either coming to the courthouse or watching it on TV or in the news.
I followed a lot, like the Natalie Holloway case, because she was a year younger than me and that mattered.
Right.
And the real story, and so I followed that really closely.
Mm-hmm.
It was, personal.
Yeah.
And like the Casey Anthony, I watch it all the time, but I followed a lot of that. Something to do with the child.
Mm-hmm. Now, you've also volunteered with kids before?
Yeah, well, I'm a teacher, and
Right.
I've been a mentor to some of my kids that I've taught, and vacation Bible school, all that.
Okay.
Coach baseball, well, mini baseball, I guess.
I was about to say, you coach baseball,
Mini baseball.
your 5-year-old?
Yeah.
So coaching with that's basically trying to teach them to actually put the bat down after they hit it? Yeah, and not a dog pile on the ball when it's hit? Yeah, how successful were you at that?
We won every day.
Awesome. I didn't even know they kept score. In Cobb County, they don't even keep score at that age. No, they don't. Oh, okay. All right, good. So you've had a good experience with law enforcement before?
Yeah.
Okay, tell me about that.
I got in a wreck on the causeway coming under the first, if you're going on to take time to the first big bridge, and
Yeah.
a car in front of me slammed on brakes, and I was coming over and I hit him from behind, but another car had hit him into the median and ran off like it was hit and run.
Yeah, I'm sorry, that's kind of scary. They're going over the causeway, and
I was in the median, but at least I didn't go over the bridge.
Yeah.
I wasn't with my kids, I was coming in from work. So all the policemen, I'm sure y'all heard of Officer Lacey, they all came and I don't know, maybe y'all have, we haven't usually come up.
Probably will.
And all of the police officers
Okay.
were very helpful, and, I've always liked the experience.
Okay. And you obviously working and teaching as long as you raised your hand for having had to report suspicions of child abuse before.
Yes.
Is it in that capacity?
Yes.
I believe you stated you've known somebody who's been arrested for a crime before.
Yes, my sister-in-law.
Okay. And was that here in Blaine County? Okay. I won't get too far into it, but just generally, what was she arrested for? If you can say. Okay. Do you know enough about it to have an opinion as to whether she was treated fairly?
She was treated fairly.
All right. I believe you stated you've had to give a report to a police officer before. Was that about that wreck you were talking about? Okay. All right. Obviously, you've had to transport your children before to daycare. Are they in daycare? Or the 3-year-old, I guess maybe?
Yes. Well, my first son, he went to a real daycare.
Okay.
And I take him to and from the daycare. And then my 3-year-old goes to my mother-in-law in the morning, and then she takes him to a 9-to-1 church, St. Presbyterian, and an older lady keeps him in the afternoons until I get done. And my other son goes to school with me. But I have driven to daycare.
And when you did that, did you do it did your husband ever help you? Was it routine, or was it kind of just y'all alternate? Or?
I mean, most of the time it was me, but like picking up, if I was running late, I was picking up.
And I believe you said you'd heard commercials about not leaving pets or children in cars or looking again or something.
I don't know about commercials, but I mean, like I've always heard, especially when it's there to make sure you don't leave your kids in the car, and make sure you don't leave your animals in the car. They can get a lot hotter. So, I mean,
Now, that's been for years, I guess. I've been hearing that.
I can't like pinpoint one thing.
And I'm not going to ask you to. That would be unfair. Yeah. Okay. And I think one of the last things that I was going to ask you about, you stated that when there was a question about having experienced some type of unexpected trauma in your life. What were you thinking about when you raised your hand on that?
My little brother, well, he's 24 now, when he was 6 and I was in 18 years ago, I was in 6th grade. He was playing with a lighter and was burned 65% of his body.
Oh my gosh, sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine now. But at the time, I was downstairs and he was downstairs. My parents were upstairs, and he ran out in flames. And I don't like talking about this, but
Yeah, I
he did the
understand.
whole stop, drop, and roll thing, and got the flames out. We were just talking about it in school, and then my parents were upstairs and they ran downstairs and we drove. And actually, the policeman had escorted us to the hospital. So,
I imagine that was pretty upsetting for you.
yeah,
Yeah, that may be an understatement.
yeah, it was upsetting. He's been alive in the hospital.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. All right. All right, I think that's all I have. Yeah, I don't have any other questions. Thank you, ma'am.
Ms. B, where are you originally from?
I moved here first to St. Paul's when I was in 3rd grade.
Okay.
I was born in Jacksonville. We lived in Snellville, Georgia for 3 years, Douglasville, Georgia for a little while, and then we moved up to Ross. And then we traveled with my dad's job. And
Okay.
now he just does the travel.
But you moved here when you were in 3rd grade? Okay. So you basically were raised here then? All right. All right. You teach school during the day, obviously during the summer. You don't teach summer school, do you? Okay. But during the regular work day, you work Monday through Friday? Okay. And so your children are 5 and 3. If I understand correctly, your routine in the morning would be you get up, you get them ready, and the 5-year-old rides with you to school.
Yeah, I dropped 3-year-old off at my mother-in-law's.
Okay. So do you, get them a lunch packed or get them their bags?
Yeah, the night before.
Do that the night before. Do you make them breakfast there, or do you stop along the way?
My 3-year-old, my mother-in-law takes the next and then every morning.
Okay.
And then my 5-year-old gets like a waffle down the right there or a Pop-Tart.
Okay.
So your basic routine is pretty fixed, pretty standard. You get stuff ready the night before. You get them ready in the morning. Get them in the car. You drive to your mother-in-law's house. The 3-year-old's going to have breakfast there. 5-year-old is catch can, going to eat waffle or whatever you give him for the route.
Yeah, he doesn't really jump up.
Okay. Okay. All right, and then you go straight to work.
Yes.
All right, so you don't have to drop him anywhere in the morning. He's coming with you to Frederica Academy.
Yes.
All right. Does that route ever deviate in the morning?
Because sometimes with the traffic's bad, I'll go different ways.
Okay. So traffic may affect the route.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were.
Or like today, I dropped my older son off at school first, and then my younger son off at my mother-in-law's, and then I came here. That was different.
If something comes up, you may have to adjust your route.
Yeah, we're all, yeah.
All right, and are there? I'm assuming you don't have to drive real far to go to your mother-in-law's and then to the academy. No, because you live on the island, right? Okay. So, have you ever got stops along the way? Do you ever stop at the dry cleaner, or to get gasoline, or to get coffee, or to get a chicken biscuit, or anything like that?
Not since I've been working at this school. I've had different routines. This is my first year at the new school. I've had different routines before. So I don't really stop. No. We get coffee first.
Okay. And your husband, is he already gone in the morning when you leave?
Sometimes. Most of the time. It depends what he's driving out of town to go to a job site or what time they have movements to a meeting or goes on to the job site. Most of the time he's already gone.
Do you ever take or receive telephone calls during that route in the morning?
Yeah, that's what my mom is.
Okay. Do you ever check your phone at stop signs or red lights?
I mean, I have my card, you can do it through, what do you call it?
Like Bluetooth?
Yeah.
Okay.
They would like read messages around.
Oh, that's nice. Okay.
I don't really do that.
Your cousin, Alex McQueen. Alex McQueen. Do you know Aaron Wallace?
Yes, that was his wife, and they got divorced.
Okay. That's his ex-wife. All right. Do you know what she does?
Yes, she's
Are you friendly with her as well? No?
now.
And I caught the name of your, what I took to be your close friend who was a lawyer, Crystal.
Yeah.
I didn't catch her last name.
Barrier.
Farrier. Okay. And you think you think part of what her practice is may include some criminal defense?
I think so. I mean, I think she's a jack of all trades.
Okay.
Don't have that in your community.
It's kind of going away. Most people sort of have to, things are so complicated now. You have to kind of focus in one area. But there are some people who do that. Jack of all trades.
I do know Judge Amanda Williams.
Judge who?
Amanda Williams. Well, she went.
Oh, where do you know? How do you know her?
I graduated high school with her daughter.
Oh, okay. All right. You mentioned following a couple of trials here. You know, it's the first one that's mentioned, Natalie Holloway, and that's actually one that I followed. That was interesting. Of course, we didn't have a trial in that case, right? But what about talk shows? Do you follow any legal talk shows or talking head shows?
No.
No. All right. Do you ever watch the Nancy Grace show?
I mean, not really.
You don't have a timer to remind you to turn it on to watch that show? Okay. Perhaps occasionally. All right. All right, and then back to your schedule. I think you told us that the afternoons were more of a kind of like who's available or who's got something to do after work to do the pickup.
Yeah. That changes a lot. I have family, my mom, my parents live in town,
All right.
my husband's parents live in town, and so, it's always changing.
It's whoever it's most convenient for on that day. All right, you'd indicated that you had read news accounts or stories of children left or forgotten in cars before you heard of this case. All right. Is that something that you were keenly aware of, or just you have a recollection of hearing about it on the radio or hearing news accounts?
I've heard a lot of cases about it. I've heard a lot of cases about it happening.
You heard any cases about it happening to teachers?
No.
You've not? Okay. And we've kind of heard that folks have heard these stories a little more seasonally when it's warm. Has that been is that been the case with you as well?
Yeah.
And hearing or reading about these stories, are they coming to you primarily through internet like Facebook or through the radio or TV news? Okay. And have there been any that you followed?
I'll look up about it because it's kind of hard for me to understand.
Yeah.
Being a mom.
When you say look up about it?
Just like how it happened, or why did they do that, or, like,
Maybe if you see a story, you may look for another story the next day, or just kind of Google it or something.
yeah.
Have you heard any accounts of experts that talk about it happening? Scientists or psychologists or anything like that?
I'm sure I've read something. They interview with doctors.
And has that helped you? Has that helped you understand the phenomenon anymore? Reading from experts like that.
It's hard for me to understand it. Because
Because you don't think it could happen to you.
Right.
You told us that you were familiar with products that were on the market to help parents or caregivers not to forget.
Yeah, I saw something that they were, car seat companies are coming up with, that if they don't feel the weight of the driver and it's not in there.
Like a little whistle or siren will go off?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that a product that you would buy? You have, however, done research on car seats before you made a purchase of a car seat.
Yes.
All right. And what specifically were you looking for in doing research before you purchased a car seat?
Just the best, safest one.
All right. And you don't think having a whistle or a buzzer or something, a reminder with that pressure point, you don't think that would make it a safer car seat?
Yeah, I'm sure it would for some. I mean, I don't have an issue with that, so I don't know. I don't
And I believe you answered a question. If you or your spouse had to hire an attorney,
Yes.
I don't recall if you covered that.
Yes.
Did you cover that?
We had to hire an attorney over an insurance issue. I had dropped my Lynn County Schools insurance because we were double covered with my husband's insurance. And we thought we had those schools when you had to have your maternity rider, and we asked our insurance lady in writing to add the maternity rider, and then I didn't figure it out until months into my pregnancy, and so we had to hire an attorney. We didn't go to court or anything, but it got solved.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Let's take a recess. Go back 10 minutes for everyone, and then we'll be calling you on individually. So keep an open mind, don't discuss the matter, enjoy each other's company, take a break. I have a question of council in just a minute.
Please send it, please.
Juror 33, do you all have individual questions for her?
No, Your Honor.
I'm sorry, Judge. Give me just 1 moment.
Of course. 33.
No, ma'am. We don't have any questions for her.
35.
I think the only questions we have are we wanted to talk in private about something with neuroscience and counseling.
That's my recollection, Judge.
Well, do y'all want to? Just because he does doesn't mean y'all have to.
I
I hate to tread there, but I think we do at least need to briefly question to see what it's
That's
about.
not a problem. All you had to do is say yes.
Maybe it's just more of a curiosity, but
Now, that you ought to
Yes, ma'am.
consider carefully. All right, then I'm going to bring everybody back except 33. All right, let's take a break.